Welcome back to Mr. Orth's Flip Classroom for Grammar. Today we're going to look at verb phrases. Learning targets for today. I can define the verb phrases including helping verbs and main verbs. I can identify verb phrases including helping verbs and main verbs in sentences. So obviously, as you're seeing a pattern here with the learning targets, first we need to define what they are and then identify them as they're used in sentences. Definitions. First, a phrase is a group of words performing one job. A main verb can stand by itself as the verb. Keep in mind, main verbs are either action verbs or the linking verbs. A helping verb cannot stand by itself, and if it does, it actually becomes a linking verb. Helping verbs show the verb tense and help the verb phrase agree or work with a simple subject. Bear in mind that all ing and most en verbs need helping verbs. A hyphen in front of it means when you have ing as a suffix. Just because the word ends in ing does not make it a verb that needs a helping verb. However, if you have a verb and the ing is added to it, that ing form does need a helping verb, or in a sentence, it's not being used as a verb. If that sounds confusing, hold on, we'll get to it later. How to find these? First, always find the verb, all parts of it. Because you find one doesn't mean you're done. Next, if you do not find an action verb, look for a linking verb. Oftentimes students look at a sentence and don't see a verb at all. We'll start by doing what you're most comfortable with. Look for an action verb. If you find one, great. If you don't, look for a linking verb, typically forms of be and forms of have. When you find that main verb, look directly in front of that action or linking verb to see whether any helping verbs are present. Again, you don't necessarily have to have a list, but it's nice to have a couple to look at. Again, think about forms of be if it's in front of another verb, and they're helping verbs, as well as can, may, should, will, those sorts of ideas. Do remember, however, since helping verbs are called helping verbs because they're there to add clarity to the time of the main verb and to agree with the simple subject. In other words, if there's only one verb in a sentence, then there are no helping verbs at all. Some common helping verbs for those that want to actually write them down. Forms of be are is, am, are, was, were, will, be. Forms of have, has, have, had. Again, both of those forms, be and have, they could be linking verbs by themselves. However, if they're in front of another verb, then in this case they're going to be considered helping verbs. Also, forms of do can be helping verbs, again, if they're used in front of another verb. Other ones that typically are helping verbs only are may, might, can, should, will, shall. There's a lot more than this, but this is a place to start. First example, several of these movies were released over the summer. Now your first step, find the verb. Right. The main word here is going to be released. That's an action word. Are there any other words in front of it that help it? Yep. Were. Were could be a verb by itself, but it's were released. So, we know that's the case. The other thing to think about is this way. If the complete subject is several of these movies, if we don't think were is part of the verb, then subject followed by verb should work grammatically. Several of these movies released. It's possible that's correct, but in this sentence, that doesn't make any sense. It's not what a sentence is saying. Were released is the full verb phrase. Next example. She should have been completing her homework last night. So once again, we're looking for verbs. What action's happening in a sentence? Right, completing. Are there any words that help or explain or add detail to completing? Not after it. Helping verbs come before. Trickier, but because you find one, doesn't mean you're done. In this case, you have should and have and been. All are helping verbs. So the complete verb phrase is should have been completing. This one might take a little longer, and you might find that you're not as certain about your answers when you do the practice in class. Mark down what you think. Don't simply refuse to mark anything because you're afraid of making a mistake. You're trying to learn or refine your understandings you've already learned before. Don't worry about being perfect first time around. Ask questions to clarify. Help to ask questions with the primary purpose of understanding why a certain answer is correct, as opposed to just what is it. And as always, good hunting.